Hello Internet, it's Dan here from CryoNoir again, continuing on this web series about forming and developing my indie studio. In the last episode I documented the sort of building of the PC we were going to be using for the projects, so now it's just on to the next step. How do you make a game? Well, for me the first thing is going to be learning to code. The inescapable reality is that every game has thousands and thousands of lines of code. And that's what makes it a game a game. Without the code, there is no game. So what language was I going to choose? There's literally hundreds of languages, and they've all got their sort of strengths and weaknesses, and I couldn't really learn them all. So I decided the best way was to have a look at the different engines, pick an engine, and from there each engine has its own code framework that it depends on. So then from that I could then work out which language I needed to learn. CryEngine uses C#, Unreal uses C++, now you can build games in Blender, that uses Python, Unity also uses C# as well. So I mean, it looked as though it was going to be one of the C's, but you saw which one. After looking into sort of the engines, I was like really quite impressed with Unity. It had like a real indie feel to it, and I checked out there's a lot of really good indie developers that were using Unity to make some very cool looking stuff. But when I sort of looked at Crytek, I was just wow. I just couldn't believe just how much better CryEngine looked. Plus also, you know, the subscription fees for that were not too bad at all. I mean, I was well aware of CryEngine already from sort of Far Cry and Crysis and every other game that has Cry in the name. So I was like, well, that looks pretty good. Around about that sort of time, Unreal Engine 4 was released, and it was free. And every bit as capable as CryEngine, but you could get it for free, and without any upfront costs. You only had to pay something in the event that you released a successful game. So consequently, that sort of made up my mind, and that used C++. So I need to sort of learn that. I mean, one of the major things was that really sold me was this trailer. I'm just going to show you the trailer that came out with it, and it looks absolutely amazing. As you can see, it's a very impressive piece of kit. It's got all the major features you would expect from a modern engine. It just looks fantastic. I'm not going to play the whole video here. There will be a link down below for the whole trailer, and I'd strongly recommend you go and check it out for yourselves. If you have any interest in building games for yourself, or you're just interested in the software behind how games are made, you should definitely go watch the video. And it's got an absolutely epic soundtrack as well. So that was me sold. I immediately went straight over to Epic's website and downloaded the latest version of the Unreal Development Kit. That also gave you access to their storefront where you could download and purchase lots of assets and animation packs and texture packs and absolutely all sorts on there. So where do you go after that? I headed over to Unreal's YouTube channel, and on there they had an awful lot of very good tutorials. There was one there that was sort of very big and popular. It was a my first game kind of thing, and that was to make an endless runner. Much in the same vein as sort of Temple Run and all the thousands of clones that you get on iOS and Android. So this is my version of that. So this is your development environment here. We've got our assets down at the bottom here. I'll just load up Bob. Bob's the player character, and Unreal has a blueprinting script, which is like a visual representation of all the code that you would use. So these are all the things that sort of deal with him directly. So we've got, obviously, this is a death script here for the fail state of the game in the event that you should hit a rock or something like that. It triggers a death sound and stuff and an effect. Up here we have a left and a right control thing, because there's two separate control schemes for the game, which I'll explain a little bit later. And where are we? Over here, this is the main blueprint for the triggering of all of the blocks in the game. So the idea is you go over the end of a block, and that will trigger another one being added onto the end. The idea being that it will just keep generating them and randomly pick whether it's going left, right, up, down, or invariably, and it will pick from one of these down here. Now this is a ring. You'll collect these as you go through, and that'll help determine what points you get. Also I had script with it, so it would make a sound when you hit into it and it didn't just kill Bob. We also put a groovy little light source underneath it as well, and when it's animated like this, you can see it all spins around and looks marvellous and wonderful. It does look a little bit better in the game. So yeah, let's. These are all I've said that, and that's a rock there. Okay, so now we'll just get this all set up and running, and I'll be able to show you what the game actually looks like when it's running and playing. Okay, this bit here's that's your preview window. You just press play up there, but all do is we'll just drag this down here and drag it across there and make it a little bit bigger so you can sort of see a little bit better, and hit play and away we go. So this is the game running as we got. That was a good start. Here we go. So yeah, this is the game running. You've got the little rings turning there with the light source underneath them, and when you get to a corner, if you press left and right, it'll turn left or right rather than just sort of shimmying as he's doing down here. Like say, you shimmy left and right to avoid the rocks, and then when you hit the corner, it triggers that extra little bit of code there to turn you left or right. You can see the levels generating there in the distance as well. You'll see it when we come over the top there. Every time you go over the end of one of these portions, it then and if you hit a wall, you die. That's not a good thing there. But yeah, it triggers the next point along. If you jump outside of the thing, that's not been programmed. It just kind of falls for eternity. A lot of this was all sort of stock assets and stuff that just came with Unreal, so I didn't have to do any crazy thing like that. But you'll notice that like throughout this, it was all done with Blueprint, and the start of this video was for me to sort of try and learn how to program in C++. And this is what I found with a lot of the beginning tutorials, was there was not a huge amount on the actual coding. It was all done trying to teach people to use C++, and just jump out, there we go. Just use Blueprint rather than actually programming with C++. But, it's a game. It was an actual game. It played. It was a thing. And there we go. So, well, thanks a lot for watching. That was my first game. It took me about 3 and a bit hours to make it, but it was a thing. It was an actual game. It was a playable game, and it was all good to go. So, well, thank you very much. Join me next time, and I'll be going over the next step of my game making journey.